This weekend at Martinsville, Virginia, Winston Cup stock car hero Ernie Irvan was expecting to make his return to competition. Indeed, Ernie climbed in the number 28 truck and was one of the fastest in practice for the Nascar Craftsman SuperTruck Series race. Unfortunately, rains moved into the Speedway on Saturday and stayed throughout the qualifying and the scheduled truck race itself. As a result, Ernie will have to wait until next weekend at North Wilkesboro to return to competition. You, however, will not have to wait with any luck at all, because we are back live at Martinsville on Monday morning for the Goody's 150 live here on ESPN2. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain along with Benny Parsons. One of my complaints has always been that the races are only on the weekend. It's kind of nice to be at a track on Monday morning, ready to have a race, start the week off right.
Can you believe it rained again this morning? This place is unbelievable.
We've seen a lot of trucks running around here.
But not race trucks. That's what we want to see, race trucks.
Here's the good news. We think that we're, 10 minutes away maybe from getting trucks out there?
I would think 10, 15 minutes away. Looking at the racetrack, it's getting fairly dry in the groove, so it won't be long.
So we're going to have you hang with us, because even without Ernie Irvan, we're going to have a terrific show. The 15 truck races to date have been sensational. We're going to get the report now from trackside with the man who will cover pit road today, Marty Reed.
Well, thanks, Dave. We took a look at the radar, and it has blown through. I know it doesn't look it by the clouds, but this should be it for the day. We should be able to go racing. Yesterday, if you were with us, great run by Darrell Waltrip. Was as far back as 31st and came back to finish 8th. He had a good run, but now you can't translate any of that information because the trucks are set up differently than the Winston Cup cars, so you're in the same boat everybody else is.
Well, yes and no. I mean, 500 laps on this racetrack yesterday under very similar conditions is a little bit of a help. We made a small change in the truck this morning that we feel like would have helped us yesterday if we had had the luxury of doing that. So they are different. They're different animals altogether, are different looking. But when you get in them and drive them, basically you set them up just like we do our Winston Cup cars. And actually they drive a little bit better to me.
But without the cambered rear end, doesn't that change the way the rear end handles?
That's kind of one of those things that goes away the longer you run. With no camber in the rear tires, you can run pretty good for 8 or 10, 15, maybe 20 laps. But then as that tire starts to heat up, you start to lose some of the grip. And that's what you have to anticipate. A lot of these guys are good at anticipating that, and a lot of them aren't. So it's going to be a little exciting on the start. These tires don't hook up real good when it's cold like this. And these guys haven't raced here enough to know that there's going to be a huge traffic jam down here in turn 1 when this thing takes off.
Now, that Mexican food you had last night for dinner, did that help at all?
Yeah, it kept me up all night. Been eating a lot of Rolaids.
Kept one of our producers up as well.
Oh, man, it was good. It was too good. That was the problem. It was a good place to eat.
Thanks, Darrell. We'll see you out there. Good luck. David?
When you look through the performance records for this racetrack, every single category, races won, races led, poles, every single category, that cat right there is the one who leads it. He's going to climb in the truck today along with the regulars in the series. We will have this show again this evening on ESPN Classic in edited form, a nice tight 1-hour all-racing version for you at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. We're going to stay here and bring it to you live, we hope, within a matter of moments, so stay tuned. We'll be right back at Martinsville. We're back live at Martinsville, Virginia. Dave Despain and Benny Parsons watching the next generation of NASCAR racing trucks. Now that pickup trucks are firmly established, can dump truck racing be far behind?
I don't think we're going to see dump truck. This is not a super truck, folks. That is simply a truck that's trying to drive the racetrack. This is a super truck. Scott Legacy's super truck, as a matter of fact.
Boy, it's a pretty piece.
But unfortunately,
those things.
Scott Legacy isn't in the truck with his helmet on.
Well, soon, they tell us. The latest estimate is 5 to 10 minutes. They hope to have the trucks on the track. Let's get the latest from trackside with Marty Reed.
Well, we're on the man who's going to be starting on the outside of row number 1, Joe Ruttman, second in the points by 51. An advantage to be up front, but not an advantage to be on the outside. Darrell Waltrip was just talking about he thinks turn 1's going to be a real mess.
Ooh, I haven't talked to him about that. I would, if I had my brothers, I'd rather be on the inside, to be no doubt about it. But that's where they picked for me to start, so that's where I'm going to have to start.
So if you sort of put like little rubber bumpers on the side there so you can sort of slide along that wall if anybody sort of gets out of shape and push you along?
Well, if you look at the side of my truck, I have made contact with the wall on my own already, so I could imagine if someone was going to help me, but I never predetermine what's going to happen. I might come away victorious down there, or I might lose. So
let's talk about strategy, because in less than a week, you got to go to North Wilkesboro. You got to have a truck that's capable of performing there. You're in a points championship. All the focus was on Ernie, sort of had you guys off on the sidelines. Now all the attention's back on you. What are you going to do today?
We're just going to run the best we possibly can, and whatever that is, we're going to have to live with it. And I have another truck, so I don't know if I can get Ernie's truck or not. But in fact, I asked him, if it'd be all right if I could drive his. His looked faster than mine. You know how drivers are; they always think one's faster than the other one. But no, we have another truck, and push come to shove, maybe I might push him out of his ride for next week.
You're going to have to fight an awful lot of people because they definitely want to see that. Let me ask you straight up, from the standpoint of you can't afford to hold back, but some of these other guys can. Like a Mike Skinner, for example, he sort of all he has to do is keep his eye on you. Is this basically where you guys are just going to be looking at each other?
No, I think you just got to run your own race, Marty. Whatever, we're going to just run the best we can and pick up as many spots as we can, because he's going to be tough to beat. There's no question about it. He's got a good driver and a tremendous team behind him, and we just got to nip away if we can, and the game's not over until we're too far out as far as the points are concerned. But I like running here, and I'm sure he does too, so it's going to be interesting to see how we can do with one another.
Well, we'll be keeping our eyes on you. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Skinner and Redmond just 51 points apart in the chase for the championship. Skinner leading the way. Let's talk about in more detail why Ernie Irvan is not in the show, because certainly there was every effort made to get qualifying completed so that he could make the race. So many people anticipating his return from the injury at Michigan. Tell me how this field was set.
Well, in Winston Cup racing, the fields are determined by owner point standings in case of a rain situation, which is exactly how the Goody's 500 started yesterday. But here's how the Super Trucks are lined up. Positions 1 through 22 is driver points, not owner, but driver points. Position 23 is open for any 1995 race winner that isn't already in the race. Ken Schrader falls under that category. And positions, look at that, 24 through 36 is a postmark date on the entry blank, on the envelope that they send the entry blank in. And you can't fax the thing, and you have to mail it in, and they go by the postmark. Well, Ernie Irvan's situation, he did not have a medical release to run. So he could not send an entry in until NASCAR gave him the medical release. As soon as he got it, he sent the entry blank in, but it was too late. When they looked at the postmark date on the entry blank, it was too late.
That's a tough way to miss the field. Guess who has shown up this morning? Guess who stuck around for the rainy weekend? Guess who's standing by with Marty Reed? Let's hear from Ernie Irvan.
Well, you can see the hat routine. He knows it's TV time. They were just going through the fact that the postmark was just a tad too late, and therefore you're back to being a truck owner. As far as the highs and the lows, the emotional roller coaster, where are you at right now?
Well, it's really good. I could be disappointed because I didn't get to run the race. There's rules with every game, and NASCAR had to stick by those rules, and hey, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I got to come up here, tested, practice. We ran really good. The truck was fast, and Wilkesboro is just not very far away. If it was a month away, then I'd probably be real upset. But Wilkesboro is just a few days away, and we'll be ready.
As far as today's race is concerned, now all the attention back on Joe's truck. Was there a distraction factor all week long with this big buildup for you coming into this race?
Well, there was. As far as Ernie Irvan was concerned, it didn't take away from Joe's effort at all. I had 2 guys working on my truck, had 6 of them working on Joe's. So, basically we tried to make sure that we didn't take away from Joe's program, because this championship is really, really important to us, and my comeback's real important to us too. But so we're going to try to weigh out and do the best we can for both projects.
Well, he'll have the headset on today and doing his thing as truck owner down here in pit lane.
Ernie Irvan. And look at what the grandstand says. I don't think that I could say it any better.
No.
How about that? Great to see that guy back. It is a miraculous recovery that he has made. The fact that he survived his injuries in Michigan, a miracle in itself. For him to be back in the cockpit of a race car or truck is truly remarkable.
I'd like to have, they always say I'd like to have a penny, I'd like to have a nickel. So many people in the last year has asked me, will Ernie Irvan ever drive again? Yeah. Well, we were going to answer that question today. Well, I guess we answered the question Friday when he practiced the truck. And we were going to answer the question, will he ever race again today or yesterday or Saturday, whenever. But we'll have to wait till next Saturday at North Wilkesboro.
Keep in mind that he says the plan for North Wilkesboro will not change. He will still race the SuperTruck race first and then immediately come back and run the Winston Cup race. So he will make his return to racing in grand style and scale this coming weekend on ESPN. So that is the Ernie Irvan story. The race will continue without him, we hope, in a matter of moments. The jet dryer does its stuff. Been there, done that, and we'll do it again. We're back in Martinsville. I'm going to tell you a quick story that goes back to Dover. I'm on my way back to the airport in Baltimore, and I see this sign that says the Bay Bridge is 29 miles. I drive 15 minutes and see another sign that says the Bay Bridge is 27 miles. Couldn't quite figure out what was going on. This is a little like that. 15 minutes ago, they said we were 15 minutes from having trucks on the racetrack, and they just told us it'll be about 10 more minutes. So it goes.
I just motioned to Wayne Alton, who their booth, the NASCAR booth, is next to ours, and said, how long? He said, 15 minutes. Well, that wasn't Wayne that said 15 minutes ago, but anyway.
Oh, well, everybody is an optimist in this situation, and the good news is that, in fact, the weather appears to clear. You can see the racetrack's getting dry.
I mean, you can see, folks, you can see the groove is dry, but we need two grooves. And I think the concrete all around the corners is, in fact, dry, but we can see down the straightaways that we do need to widen that groove just a little bit. There we see the backstretch.
See how light it is? It's dry.
SuperTruck.
Of course, you don't want to get out of that little groove or the traction goes away in a hurry. Let's go down to Marty Reed once again, standing by with one of the famous names in the truck owner ranks in this series.
Well, car owner would suffice also. The smile hasn't come off Richard Childress' face from yesterday's victory. Going to try and make it a double now. First off, again, congratulations. A great run yesterday.
Thank you. The whole team, they built that new car, and they just did a fantastic job with it. And Dale, I think, he's just like wine. He just gets better with time, and he just put on a great display of driving all day yesterday.
Let's talk about today's race now. Your man, Mike Skinner, he's got a 51-point lead over Joe Ruttman. Nobody's really had the time to get a good setup. Did you get any extra test time in here that may give you an advantage?
Well, I don't know that it'd be an advantage. Several of the trucks came up here and tested, and we tested, but the track always changes after a rain deal, and I'm sure, Dale, those guys have done about what we've done to our truck like we started out yesterday.
As far as strategy for the race, what have you told Mike to go out there and just do what he always does, is run up front, score points?
Yeah, we want to try to get out there and lead it and try to keep save the truck, but the key here is not trying to run the truck too hard or not being too aggressive, and kind of let your car or truck roll in the corner and not try to do everything with the brakes.
Did you learn anything out of yesterday's race with Dale that you could transfer into the truck?
Well, we talked a little this morning. I think we're going with about the same strategy we started out with yesterday with the truck. So we're going to give it a shot with that.
I tell you guys, I got this sneaky feeling I'm going to be talking to him before this day is over. That's for sure.
Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt, of course, were a team yesterday, and they're rivals today because Earnhardt also owns his own truck, which is currently ranked third in the series. It's one of the interesting dimensions of this truck deal.
That really is. I wonder if Earnhardt stuck around. He probably didn't.
I don't know. I haven't seen him yet this morning, but if so, you can bet that he's going to continue to offer his advice to Ron Hornaday, his driver. Let's take a look at how they stack up in terms of the championship. We have mentioned the 51-point lead for Skinner over Ruttman, and Hornaday there in third. He had a bad weekend the last time out here on ESPN and has fallen 141 points down.
And Butch Miller had an even worse weekend at Richmond last weekend, a couple weekends ago. Terrible crash for the Rebestas truck.
And the same is true for Corelli, although he didn't wreck the truck, but the Richmond race really busted up a very tight point battle. Hornaday, Miller, and Corelli all had bad runs there. And as we look at Hornaday's truck here, the third-ranked driver in the series, we're hoping that very soon he'll climb in and put that helmet on and head into battle. He told me that Earnhardt's suggestion to him here was worth a couple of tenths, and that was don't hustle it into the corner quite so hard. Don't use the brakes up so much. Be a little more patient. Relax. And he said it helped him a whole lot, and that Earnhardt has already been a big help to him here this weekend. So we'll be back in just a couple of moments to update you on more of the series activity up until now, and we hope drop the green flag on the trucks at Martinsville. We lack in big budget and technical backing. We make up for in ingenuity and particularly cameraman courage. This is a look at the racetrack as we dry it. How do you get a shot like that? Well, that's easy. You stick Ralph in the back of the pickup truck. Go for it, Ralph. I love that. It actually gives you a pretty good idea what's happening out there, though, doesn't it?
And Ralph is even waving to us. Attaboy, Ralph.
He can chew gum and walk at the same time, but only on a good day. You can see how the track is dry. Manny, you were making an observation about where the wet spot still remains here.
It looks like the front straightaway has the narrowest groove. The back straightaway looks to be fairly dry.
I'm less worried about Ralph falling out than I am about him getting frostbitten. It's been a little chilly here all weekend. The weather really changed dramatically in Martinsville just before race weekend when this rain pattern moved in and brought with it some very cool temperatures, but Ralph's after it. He looked like Wolfman Jack.
He does, doesn't he?
We only bring you the best here on ESPN2. Two of the best in the field are standing by with our Marty Reed. Go for it, Marty.
Well, the bad thing about racing is when you have a rough day. The great thing about racing is you always get another chance, and that's the case for Kenny Schrader and Scott Lagasse, because yesterday you did not have the kind of day you wanted, and the last time we saw you on ESPN, this truck was like sort of crinkled a little bit. First off, what did you learn yesterday that you can use today?
To not have brake problems, We didn't have just a bad day yesterday. We haven't had the year that, we kind of want, but car was good yesterday. The Bud car was real good, but we had some brake problems.
Will brakes be a factor, though, with this only being 150 laps, not 500?
I don't believe so. First off, it's, it's just twin 75-lap races, and I expect a few yellows in there.
Yeah, speaking of yellows, last time we saw you, we were talking about it. It was sort of bent up, Scott Lagasse. As far as the truck, have you had any time to go test? Are you confident with the way things are going to work?
Well, we haven't had a chance to go test, but this is a different truck. The truck that we damaged at Richmond took a front and rear clip, and it's back together and ready to go for the next one at North Wilkesboro if we need it. This is a truck we've run a few times this year. In fact, we've run better in this truck than we have in the other one all year long, so we're pretty optimistic. We weren't great in practice, but learned a couple things. Went over and twisted Kenny's crew chief's arm and the Winston Cup crew chief, and learned a couple extra things from what Kenny and them were doing, so I think it's going to help us out.
I wondered why you're holding that arm behind your back there. Oh, okay, it's working. You didn't twist too hard. As far as advantage, who has it today, or is because of the lack of track time, is this finally a chance for the non-Winston Cup regulars to have a shot at you guys?
Well, all the Winston Cup regulars, don't run these trucks very often, and we're all back there in the back, so don't have a whole lot of time to get up there, so I don't think anybody's really got an advantage today. The guys that run the full series, starting up towards the front, they'll be awful tough to get to.
You agree or disagree? You think this might be your opportunity?
Well, we didn't have a real great practice. We changed 3 springs and 3 shocks since the last time we were on the racetrack, so we may be great, we may be really bad, but I'd say the guys that are up at the front, Skinner and Hornadays, and the guys from points certainly have a big advantage over the Cup guys, and it only twin 75 laps. It's a long way to go from the back to the front on this type of track.
We've talked about today with a lot of people. Let's talk about next year. Hendrick Racing, this series, it's taken off. We've got possibly 24 for sure. Maybe we're hearing as many as 28 of these SuperTruck races. What is the status as far as your team? What will you be doing? What will you guys be doing?
We have a meeting tomorrow with the AC Delco people as far as that. More than likely, I'll be running all the SuperTruck races in the AC Delco truck that we can fit into our schedule. This year, that was going to be, I think, 10 is what we were planning on running. We had some problems and couldn't run a couple of them, but that's about what we're going to do.
What about you, Scott?
Well, it's that time of year, so we got some meetings this coming up week and hope to get some decisions made, but probably back in the SuperTruck series. Not sure in what situation, but looking forward to it. I'd like to do a lot of testing in off-season, come a little more prepared next year. Just these guys have kind of caught a couple of us sleeping, so I think I got some homework to do, but I'd like to be back in the SuperTrucks.
You come from a road racing background. I have to ask you, what are the other options?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go oval track racing. I mean, I love road racing and sports car racing, but right now the way the NASCAR series are growing and the spectator base and the sponsors, it really makes a lot of sense to be here. I love the challenge of learning the oval track stuff, so this is where I intend to be.
Well, guys, I can give you an idea what he's talking about. one of the things that's really impressed me, Corky followed me. Excuse me, guys, I'm going to step in front of you. He was talking about NASCAR. I thought the only people we would have here today with this weather and everything would be just those in the ones that were stuck in the mud from yesterday. Take a look up into the grandstands already. I mean, you know, obviously this is not as big a crowd as we would have, but this is Monday. This is a work day, and we still got people out here. That's what Scott Lagacy's talking about.
Hey, guys that we ran into this morning drove back over from North Carolina. Here's Lagacy's truck. Indeed, there is a tremendous amount of interest in this series. 38,000 up at Richmond for the last race here on ESPN, and it's a smattering of people here compared to what we had on Saturday, but still, that's the diehards.
I mean, but Dave, this is exactly like playing a night game after the 7th game of the World Series. I mean, how do you get anybody here?
It's a very good point. The track drying continues. We're getting close to getting trucks out there. Real trucks, race trucks here on ESPN2. Stay with us live, Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. And gloomy Monday morning in Martinsville, Virginia. The good news is the track is getting drier. In fact, look at the parade pulling off up there at turn 3. Getting some of the hardware out of the way here, because very soon we'll fire up this hardware. An impressive array of NASCAR Craftsman SuperTrucks deployed on pit road for the moment, about ready to take to the track.
All right, drivers are in the trucks. Somebody's sitting in that baby. We're going to be racing here in a second.
A step in the right direction. They will undoubtedly put the trucks out there and let them run a few laps under caution to complete the drying process. The exhausts make great track dryers. Let's go back down trackside to Marty Reed.
Oh, you're right. Steve Portengay, Bob Keselowski climbing into their trucks, and we're over with Walker Evans. And Walker, I got to say, probably you wish we were running out in the parking lots, because looking at those, they're muddy as heck. Congratulations. You just won your 19th championship, claiming the Class 8 crown in the SOTA World Series of Off-Road Racing just last week.
Well, certainly I'm happy about that, believe me, but mainly my mind's right now concentrating on how slick is that number 1 corner going to be down there. But finally we get to run this race. For 2 days we've been rained out, and it's time.
You know, when you started this season, I think you'd be the first to admit the performance was not what you expected. Then about mid-season, you started making some legitimate 10th place, 11th place runs, and now the last couple of races slid back a little bit. Was that the distraction of winning the SOTA championship, or is it just still the learning process?
I think it's the learning process. We turned the corner a little bit when we were up in Denver. We got hooked up really good. We've lost the combination a couple of different races, but I believe that we're getting back on top of it. This is a tough racket. After all, when you run down this line and find out who we're racing against, and the amount of time that I've been around some of these tracks, I'm just happy to be here, believe me.
There's definitely a difference between off-road and the pavement, and even road course to ovals. Guys?
Got to admire a guy taking on a new challenge like this, as I won't say at his age, but as long as he's been racing.
That's right. Don't say because he's about our age.
Well, our age, right. Well, we were going to get a lap time on Rapid Ralph, but they ran him off the racetrack because we are getting close to the completion of the drying process. You saw Sammy Swindeller's, Joe Nemechek's little brother John, and I'll bet he's gotten some advice from Big Brother coming into this weekend.
Guarantee he has. John said, now come up and mention our sponsor. Well, John, we got you on camera. We don't have the truck on camera, so we'll mention the sponsor and we'll get him on camera.
All these guys strapping in. That looks like Toby Butler getting ready to go to work here on a Monday morning. An unusual situation for these drivers, having been washed out on Saturday. And, of course, with the Winston Cup race scheduled for yesterday and won by Dale Earnhardt, these guys, well, they actually had to move up, move out, had to pack up and get their stuff out of the infield here. Rick Corelli, 5th in the points. There's Ruttman, 2nd ranked, putting the gloves on. They had to clear all of this hardware out of the infield to make way for the guys that were pitted on the back stretch, and then move all the stuff back in after the race. Well, there's a familiar face.
There's a familiar face, yes. That's Hermie Sadler's spotter. Today he's using Elliott Sadler, his brother, who runs over at South Boston. He's won about 14 races, I think, this year over at South Boston. Finished 2nd in the Mid-Atlantic region, the late model, the Winston Racing Series. A young man who has a very, very bright future in auto racing. Really gets the job done.
Sadler boys definitely got that motorsports gene for sure. He got a good seat. Didn't have to elbow anybody out of the way to get that one. He'll be spotting for Hermie, who is among the trucks that will be starting up here just momentarily to take to the Martinsville Speedway. Back at Martinsville Speedway, I think it would be fair to say there has been a bit of disappointment here over the fact that Ernie Irvin's not been able to race this weekend, but that should not overshadow the fact that this is not just the Ernie show. This series, in its first year, has produced terrific competition and great finishes.
Man, the finishes are unbelievable. Where was it, Colorado, that Butch Miller and Skinner came down absolutely side by side, and then at Richmond, the finish that we saw.
Terrific.
With Jeff Bodine and Terry Labonte, and Labonte won by 6 inches or something like that. The finishes for the truck race. Milwaukee had a great finish the truck race.
Flemington.
All of them, yeah, exactly. Hornaday went across the start-finish line sideways to win the race. So the truck race, I think, has been more than anyone envisioned it would be.
Kind of like that truck football commercial on TV. I mean, they get out there and they really get at it, and it's been exciting and it's been fun. And there's been a lot of talk about where this series is going to fit into the food chain of racing. Is it a stepping stone to something else? Is it an ultimate objective? Will these be standalone shows? Will they be companion events to Winston Cup races? One thing we know for sure, and Marty alluded to it, we're going to see a lot more of these races next year. And the good news here is they've just cranked the motors, Benny.
But it won't be long. These trucks will be on the Speedway, and we will be racing at Martinsville. Man, I'm looking forward to this so much because, you know, last year we talked about how well the trucks have done this year. Last year at this time, there were like 6 of these in the world. I think we mentioned this in Richmond. And here, like 45 trucks showed up.
And they just keep being built. I mean, there are more and more of them all the time. I mean, at the rate that this thing has grown and given the interest in it, it may not be long until you start seeing some regional truck racing as a feeder system to get to the big league of truck racing. Marty?
Well, you know, guys, you were talking about the competition. I was going through the record book. You know, out of the 15 races we've had, that 7 of them, the finish has been less than a second, and the largest margin has only been 3.5 seconds. So I think with the lack of track time, we're going to see maybe our 8th 1 second or less finish.
I think that lack of track time is going to be a key issue here as Bob Keselowski in the Dodge as we get this field fired and ready to move out onto the racetrack to complete the track drying process, after which we will drop the green one and get at it at Martinsville Speedway. Stay with us. We're back at Martinsville Speedway, where the long-awaited sign of race trucks taking to the racetrack is what we're seeing now. After the rain out on Saturday, the Super Trucks roll on Monday morning for round 16 of the Nascar Craftsman Super Truck Series. Let's take a look at how they will line up here for the $160,000 running of the Goody's 150. Skinner and Ruttman, the 2 title contenders. Remember, they're lined up here by points. Hornaday, Miller, and Corelli rounding out your top 5, Benny.
And Sprague, Sedgwick, Bliss, Bob Strait, and Toby Butler round out the top 10. Once again, these are lined up by driver points.
We heard from Lagasse a moment ago. Swindell, of course, the sprint car racer. Portengay, the coffee magnet. Keselowski and Evans both riding in Dodges here today. And there's the second 15, including Nemechek and Jeff Bodine. As you move back down through some of the series regulars, remember that Schrader is in on the basis of a previous victory here. The first 22 are based on points.
And 24 through 30, this is postmarked on the entry blank. Michael Dockin, there's Rodney Combs Sr., and there's Todd Bodine in the 61. We've got 3 Bodines in the race today.
The tail end of the field, remember, Ernie Irvin is not in the field because of the fact that they washed out qualifying. He did not get a chance to qualify on speed and did not meet the requirements of points, previous winner, or entry blank postmark, and thus is not able to make the race here today. There he leads the list of those who did not make it, along with Chad Little, Andy Gensman, Freddie Query, and Gary Lloyd. And again, that speaks to the fact, as Spenny was mentioning, now we have more trucks than we have spaces, and that certainly was not true at the start of the series. There is Ernie Irvin, not a race driver today, but a truck owner, hoping that his truck can go on and win the NASCAR Craftsman Super Truck Championship. Round 16 is about to crank up live on ESPN2. Back at Martinsville, the Super Trucks are circling the speedway at pretty good clip for pace car speed.
Yeah, they're probably running 60, 70 miles an hour trying to, well, maybe not that fast. That might be a stretch. 40, 50 miles an hour. And we see that the pace vehicle is also a truck, only fitting that trucks would be paced by a truck.
Absolutely appropriate. The best-selling vehicles in America are pickup trucks. And the best-looking pickup trucks in America are these that line up here in the NASCAR Craftsman SuperTruck Series, paced by the two up front who battle for the championship. Skinner in the black 3, the Chevrolet, up against the black Ford of Joe Ruttman, 51 points apart in the battle for the championship.
See, so many of the fans have a problem with everybody saying the black 3. You see, that 3 is white.
They're talking to me in my ear.
I see.
I missed the joke entirely.
You missed the joke.
Corey Everson and RPM tonight not going to be seen here because of the live telecast. And again, I think that you're making fun of me probably about my inability to keep that black 3 truck straight, because I always want to put
it's a white 3. It's a white 3.
Oh, okay.
That was the whole point.
That was the joke.
Yeah,
all right.
White 3.
It is, of course, a familiar paint scheme in NASCAR competition. The man who drives the car with that paint job has won 7 championships. The man who drives that truck has led 808 laps in the series over Hornaday Jr., who is, in fact, Dale Earnhardt's driver. 796 laps for him. All the others, 13 drivers who have led a combined total of 740. So in that category, certainly those two drivers have dominated. But the reality, Benny, is that right up until that Richmond race, this was a 5-driver battle for the championship.
Richmond really separated the battle between Skinner and Ruttman and the rest of them. You're exactly right. You know, in Hornaday from California has moved to North Carolina, bought a house, moved in, I think, last Friday or Saturday, he told me. Mike Skinner has bought a home. He's from California as well, both Skinner and Hornaday from California. Skinner's bought a home down below Greensboro, although Skinner has been in North Carolina for several years, and he bought a bigger home, I should say. He's in debt. He needs to win. That's what I'm trying to say.
He's got almost $200,000 in earnings thus far this year as the leader of the SuperTruck Series, but it's important to keep in mind that Hornaday, in fact, did lead this championship through most of the first half, actually, because Skinner had a bad race in the second outing at Tucson when we were there with ESPN. He didn't finish, settled for, I think, 32nd, if memory serves, and that dropped him all the way back in the point standings and let Hornaday lead it till halfway. Skinner has since battled back to take the lead, and as they continue to circulate and complete the drawing process, I think it's fair to say that Joe Ruttman, the driver of one of our 2 on-truck cameras, this is not Ralph now. Ralph's not sitting in the bed. That's illegal under NASCAR rules. Rapid Ralph has had to deploy himself in the infield. This is regular on-truck technology or on-board technology. Second of our on-truck cameras, riding with the guy who currently leads the Busch Grand National Championship Series, Johnny Benson Jr.
As he looks over at Kenny Schrader, Schrader's moved down, weaving the truck back and forth. And Kenny Schrader, they tell me, is going to be the rabbit when NASCAR feels like that the racetrack is ready for competition. They'll send Kenny Schrader out to run a couple of laps at racing speed and see if there is grip for all the trucks out there.
Johnny Benson back in 22nd starting spot by virtue, again, of the point situation, because he's not running all of the races. He's only run, I believe, 3 or 4, but he's run very well in those 3 or 4. He's been a contender to win, and as a result, Benson is inside the top 30 in points, and that's what earned him a starting spot in the field here today. He's a very good race driver that many speculate will be in the number 30 Pennzoil Pontiac next year in Winston Cup.
Let's see if we can raise Kenny Schrader on our radio. Ken Schrader, this is Benny Parsons up ESPN. You read me?
Yeah, Benny, I got you.
How's the racetrack looking?
Looking pretty good. We get single file here, run a couple laps around the bottom. I think we'll be okay.
They tell me you're going to be the rabbit. Is that true?
Yeah, we're going to go out and play for a little bit, but we just got a little bit, need a little bit more racetrack getting in and getting off the cars.
How many more laps? 3 or 4?
I think closer to 10.
Oh, come on, Schrader, let's go racing.
If you want to start it, it's okay with me.
I don't want to start it. You tell us when it's ready.
If it were pouring down rain and they threw the green flag, Schrader would race you to the first turn like there was no tomorrow.
As hard as he could go.
Let's go to Marty Reed.
Guys, I got bad news for you. It's starting to drizzle down here. I don't know if you can see. Well, they turned off the windshield wipers on the one truck. It may be one of those isolated things. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but it's still kind of dreary. And, that's the forecast in and out all day long. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. When you see my hair, like, down in my eyes, then you'll know it's pretty bad.
If, in fact, it is one of those isolated things, Benny, it will be the 50th of those isolated things that's gone through the racetrack this weekend.
And we can see the rain on the lens of our camera down in turn 1. Man, oh man.
How many times have we dried this thing out? Have you been keeping track? Have you been keeping score? I don't know if we have a statistical column for that or not. They've had her dry a couple of 3 times. Saturday, I really thought that there was going to be a pretty good chance at the end of the day that we would get it in. It seemed to have lightened significantly in the west, but then they just ran out of time, and it is NASCAR policy that they will not start the race at a point when it's too late to get in the entire race distance, and so that was what washed us out on Saturday. You can see the rain on the lens here,
and we can see just a few drops every now and then. The racetrack is still dry. If it would just stop, we could be racing fairly soon. There's our camera on the roll bar behind the cab of the truck.
That's a key point. If the rain does not continue long enough to wet the surface again significantly, we'll be okay. Of course, you can get every weekend's racing wrap-up on RPM tonight. That's Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time, and they have sent the rabbit out irrespective of this little bit of a sprinkle. Kenny Schrader's after it to check out the traction.
Man, he looks like he's fast, doesn't he?
See if he says anything on the radio.
Track is good, other than the dark spots that they can see getting in and getting off. But the rest of the track is fine.
Well, that's good news.
You're okay to start? Yeah, they might as well.
In front of the pit cart.
So we might as well start.
Okay, I told them.
All right, sounds like they're going to take a shot at it here. We'll take a quick break and come back for the start of the Goody's 150. The NASCAR Craftsman Super Trucks are next at Martinsville. Back in Martinsville, the NASCAR Craftsman Super Truck Series on ESPN, brought to you by Chevrolet. Proud to be the official truck of the NASCAR Super Truck Series. And brought to you indeed by Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by the NASCAR Story. To order, call 1-800-71-NASCAR. Hey, we're close to a green. Let's get a final pre-race update from Marty Reed.
Dave, right before the trucks rolled off the grid here, the number 3, Mike Skinner, the hood was up. They had an electronic ignition problem. They think it was a loose wire. We saw him put some tape on one of the wires. They think they got it okay. He's out there. He's in his pole position. Hold your fingers. They are.
10th time this year that Skinner has started up front. 9 times he's won the pole. As the field come down, the indication being given that they have just a couple of laps till the fall of the green. 13 Fords, 21 Chevys, and 2 Dodges. But look for that Dodge number to increase next year as Dodge mounts an even bigger truck program.
Wonder why we don't get a GMC truck in this. We'll have to work on that.
That's a good point.
2 more laps, 2 laps, and we will be racing in Martinsville.
The long-awaited start of the Goody's 150. This is pit road speed here, right?
Yes, the pace truck is leading the field at exactly the pace, the pit road speed, which is probably 35 miles per hour. Now, the drivers need to adjust their tachometer, look at their tach in whatever gear they're in, probably second gear, and say, okay, I'm turning 2,800 RPMs in second gear. That's what I need to turn as I go down pit road. Otherwise, I'll be penalized for speeding on pit road.
Don't want that. That's a 1-lap penalty. And a racetrack like Martinsville, you want to do everything you can do. Well, it's true everywhere, but certainly here, to stay on the lead lap. They will get the indication this time by 1 lap, 1 circuit of the half-mile Martinsville Speedway before we drop the flag. How far this place has come since 1946, when it was a dirt oval and hosted one of the first races ever sanctioned by NASCAR in that inaugural series. Red Byron won it. I'll bet old Red would not have predicted that we would be here in 1995 watching pickup trucks race around this place.
No, and he probably would not have predicted. There's Barry Dodson, Richard Childress, and Will Lynn.
Pretty heavy-hitting Winston Cup lineup of personalities. Of course, the crossover, the cross-pollination between the 2 series has been one of the most interesting things to watch.
Uh-oh, Mike Bliss has picked up a hot dog wrapper.
He's not surrendering before the green flag, I'm sure of that.
I don't think so.
Bliss has been a hot shot. I wonder how his radio works with that on there. Here's one of our 2 on-truck cameras. This is Rutman, who starts outside the front row as we come for the green flag. And we're underway with a Goody 150. Survived the
and Bliss is up out of the groove.
Saved it. You don't want to get up off that white stuff because it'll get slippery in a hurry. They successfully navigated turn 1 and 2. Rutman held on the second spot after a tussle with Hornaday. Here comes number 75, Sedgwick, working to the inside of Butch Miller and trying to bring Sprague with him.
He's brought straight in the 37. Butch Miller, this is one of his better starting positions all year long. He might want to start by points everywhere they go.
I'm sure he'd vote for it. And they are side by side there as Toby Butler racing with the 37 truck of Bob Strait, and that would be for, what is that, 8th spot, Benny? Butler got a little out of shape on the last lap, managed to gather it up and hang on to the spot. And closing in on them is Lagasse in the 24.
Here's the Johnny Benson truck. This camera sponsored by the Performance Friction Brake Pad, folks.
Keep that little clear-away strip moving. I don't want to see those raindrops. And it's tight. That's Schrader right in front of him. You go 2 wide on this racetrack. 3 wide is a huge problem.
It certainly is. That's Dennis Setzer in the 89. We're accustomed to seeing Setzer in the red Dodge truck, but they blew an engine on the dyno in that 30 truck. Could not run here, so Setzer picked up this ride.
Setzer's been pretty impressive in the truck series. He hasn't done a lot of the races, but the ones he's done very well. Here's your running order on the new ESPN tally over there, showing the point leaders. Up front, Skinner out front, Rutman second. That's just the way they rank. And maybe a little contact right there. I'm not sure, but it looked like Rivak might have just touched Schrader. Schrader says, I'm going to go on by. Thank you very much. Let you race with Benson in the 18.
There's Todd Bodine in the white 61. That's the Jack Roush truck.
That's a team with big plans for next year. This will remain an R&D truck, and they'll go to another full-time truck that'll run for the championship.
And if you're unfamiliar with the Super Truck racing at the halfway point, at about 76 laps, we'll stop, and they'll work on the truck for 5 minutes, change tires, and run the last 75 laps. There's Sprague on the inside of Sedgwick, down in the corner, and yes, Sprague will take that position away and moves into 5th.
Jack's got her working well on the bottom for sure. Slapped me upside the top of the head the first time I call him Kenny Schrader, because that, of course, is Kenny's paint scheme on Sunday, but here on Monday with the trucks, it's Sprague. Sedgwick doesn't want to give it up.
Certainly doesn't. The outside groove right now is working fairly well. Oh, he's going to give it up now.
Missed the wall.
No, he didn't.
No, he got it right on the end. Ha! What a bummer.
Well, the caution is out.
Just what we talked about. The racing line is dry, we heard Kenny Schrader say, but when you get up off of it and get onto the black stuff, which they can see, that was Schrader's take on it. Yeah, you can see it. Seeing it and resisting the temptation to test it are 2 different things. Sedgwick took a shot at it, and here's what resulted.
Hope he can run 150 laps on that gas tank that he's got in there. There we see him go on the outside of Sprague, and he gets in the corner just a little bit too hard, and he can't get the truck back down. When he gets up in the black, it is a little damp up there. He loses it. It looked like he was going to come down, and all of a sudden, he let off the brakes. He
stayed on the brakes another split second. He'd been okay. 20/20 hindsight. He is 7th ranked in the series point standings, but Jack Sprague has been bitten by the dampness on the racetrack. Here, watch the brakes. Watch the rear wheels. Sedgwick.
Oh, me.
There's the damage, and you're right, Benny. It's going to be tough to put fuel in that baby. We're going to take a quick break and come back. We're under our first yellow here at Martinsville. Stay with us. We have just gone back to green at Martinsville. Skinner holds the lead, 10th race this year that he has led. We've got trouble on the front straightaway. Darrell Waltrip spinning and coming to a halt against the inside wall. And one of the fastest trucks out there, Kenny Wallace, was able to get by him and continue. We ended up with just 1 truck involved.
Well, Kenny Wallace has got some pretty heavy damage to the Red Dog truck as well. And there we see both tires flat on Darrell's truck. The nose is gone, the tail's gone. This is not good.
Peeled both ends of it pretty well. Happened on the front straightaway on the second lap after the green flag, as Darrell Waltrip, the all-time performance leader in Winston Cup competition here at Martinsville, finds an abrupt end to his day, takes it to pit road.
Now he takes it behind pit road. He takes it to the truck. He says, we're going to the house.
We're going where the parts are, because we're going to need a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Now, just before that, Rodney Combs had made a pit stop under the yellow and lost nearly a lap and appeared to be on 7 cylinders. Let's go to Marty.
What happened with Rodney Combs is that they lost a plug wire. He had to come in. They got it put back on, and he's back up to speed. We're heading for Darrell Waltrip right now.
And we see, I think the radiator's broken. Well, as a matter of fact, I'm fairly sure it is because of the steam coming out. Here we see, there's the 90 truck, the Red Dog truck on the inside, and Darrell is going by on the outside. No, I'm sorry. That's Kenny Wallace came off the wall and clips Darrell in the rear and sends him in the wall head on, and he spins down and backs in. I guess that was T.J. Clark on the inside. He and Kenny Wallace had made some kind of contact as they came off the corner, and that's what got Kenny slowed down, and why he was coming off the wall into the side of Darrell Waltrip.
This is Sedgwick's truck, which was damaged in the first yellow, and now we see that Kenny Wallace has stopped in his pit for some attention to the front end, as indeed he beat up the front of his truck on the back of Waltrip's to trigger that crash that has brought out our second yellow of the day. There you see the damage. That had been a fast truck. We'll tell you what happened to Sammy Swindell when we come back. Under yellow, just about to restart. Here's how we got to that yellow flag, Benny.
As they come off the corner, Kenny Wallace and T.J. Clark got together. Darrell Waltrip tries to split them, and Wallace comes off the corner, bangs into Darrell, and Darrell hits the wall head on and then off the inside wall.
And after that yellow, we have just this moment gone back to the green flag with Mike Skinner picking up where he left off, taking the lead. He's held from the get-go. The top 4 of the championship points, running 4 of the top 5 of the championship points, running 1, 2, 3, 4 on the racetrack. That's Corelli in 4th. And let's go to Marty. He's with Darrell.
Darrell, the one thing we talked about before the race that you didn't want to do was bang the truck up with only a week to turn around to North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, I was being real careful, and I don't know, Kenny Wallace and that 23 truck got together off of 4 over there. I thought I could get by both of them without any problem, but I think one of them must have come off the wall or something and hit me in the rear and turned me into the fence. It's a shame. I had a fast truck. This thing will fly, but we'll get them at Wilkesboro, maybe.
That's what I was going to ask you. Can you get it fixed by North Wilkesboro?
I don't think it's as bad as it looks. It looks pretty ugly, but I think we can fix it.
And Michael Ducking goes around, and so far everyone has missed it. Don't throw it down the brakes on, Michael. Put the brakes on. There you go.
He's in a hurry. Wants to get going again.
Uh-oh, here comes the leaders.
Yeah, we got yellow. He gets her out of the way. Yeah.
Man.
Michael certainly kept that interesting for a moment. Doc and fires her up. Keeps on trucking. Take a quick break. Go back to Martinsville. Truck racing's wild. We told you. Stay with us. Racing at Martinsville, lap 25 of a 75, and I would predict 76 lap first segment of this Nascar Craftsman SuperTruck Series event. The Goody's 150. If you're new to this series, they run to halfway, take a 5-minute break to work on and adjust the trucks, line it back up and go again. There's a little contact between the 2 Dodges. Keselowski came up on the inside of Walker Evans and gave him a tap.
And there we see the 87 car, John Nemechek, going by, and there we see Dennis Setzer by Walker Evans, and he takes that spot away.
Little smoke being reported out of the 22 truck of Todd Massey. And he appears to be a little off the pace here in the BC Racing entry.
Yes. And
up trouble.
Barry Bodine has looped the starts the Exide truck. It's not the Exide truck. It's just a Ford truck. It's one of his dad's, Jeff Bodine's trucks.
I thought they put an Exide. They put Exide paint job on it for sure, but yeah, I guess you're right. They had it listed on the entry list. Barry, of course, is 17 years old. Yeah, it's the Tanya Tucker salsa. Sure, you bet. Here's how it happened.
There we see Barry and Sedgwick. And Sedgwick goes in the corner, and the car just pushes right up and touches the left rear. Barry Bodine really didn't do anything wrong in that.
Barry was a victim there. A 17-year-old victim driving his first real vehicle race. He's a North Carolina oval track go-kart champion, but he's never driven anything bigger than a go-kart until he climbed in this big old truck, and he's given her a decent run today. His dad, of course, is the owner. We'll be right back. Still in a battle for second spot. We've just gone back to green, and Ron Hornaday nips under the second-ranked truck driver in the series, Joe Ruttman, as you go on board for a moment with Ruttman, dropping him back to third spot. First pass among the leaders. Now Butch Miller's on the inside of Toby Butler, trying to pick up a spot, moves Butler out of the way, and Miller moves up a notch in the running order. So everybody got excited on that restart.
And here's Bob Straight. Oh, and Butler comes down, blocks the move.
Butler didn't want to give up another spot. Got up into the still damp upper reaches of the racetrack and looked for a moment like he might be in trouble, in danger of spinning it, as Bill Sedgwick did earlier, but Toby managed to get it back down without losing another position to Bob Straight. Let's go to Marty Reed.
Well, an update. Walker Evans is in the pits right now. He's missing on one cylinder. They're still investigating. They're not sure if it's a plug wire or if they dropped the cylinder, but his day is going backwards.
Meanwhile, out front, Skinner has opened up the biggest gap of what has been a stop-and-go race here at Martinsville. He has probably 10 truck runs here on now second-place truck of Hornaday. The two men who have dominated this championship series, they go side by side as once again Straight works to the inside of Toby Butler, tries to move him up out of the way. Toby's truck's really not bad on the outside, though.
It's not bad. That's seventh spot. And they go in the corner side by side. And Straight has a lot of short track experience. He keeps the truck on the very bottom, but you're right. I'm impressed with the way Butler's truck is running on the outside groove.
I'd say he's running a lot higher risk line there for a lot of reasons, though.
Oh, there they make some contact. Bend a little sheet metal, rub a little tires.
Toby gets a half truck length in front of him. Straight keeps after him. Look at the traffic jam behind him.
And you see Kenny Schrader on the outside. He just moved to the outside. It felt like, look, if I'm going to get to the front, I'm going to have to do it. Oh, there's contact. And Schrader on the outside, no place to go.
That's a bad gamble, as it turned out. He saw Butler work it well. Schrader decided to go up there. Butler got stuffed in the wall, and Schrader drilled him. So we're under yellow again. It's the fifth caution in just 38 laps.
Man, there's some heavy damage to that Ortho truck.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it?
No, that right rear is not in the position it's supposed to be in. Let's check out and see. There's Straight and Butler. They come off the corner. And I think Butler's going to get it. I mean, Straight's going to get it sideways. He does. Straight got just a little bit sideways. When he turned it back to correct it, he runs into the side of Butler and just kind of knocked the wheel straight. He hit the left front wheel and knocked the wheel straight. Normally that damage would not be that bad. See, when he straightened it out, he just catches that left front. And then Schrader comes along and catches the right rear.
Schrader with nowhere to go, and Butler a sitting duck, and as a result, Butler comes away with heavy damage. Schrader will be beat up a bit in the nose. We'll take a break and see if he'll be able to continue. He has gone to the holler as well. It's been a wreck mart Martinsville. Pretty tough trucking today as the Nascar Craftsman SuperTrucks come to the little racetrack shaped like a paperclip. We're live at Martinsville, Virginia, and we are back under yellow for the fifth time today, and we'll take another look at how we got that way.
Bob Straight in the 37, Toby Butler in the 21, and you see Straight loses the back end a little bit. When he has to correct the truck, he goes up and bumps the 21, and again, their wheels meet, and that just basically jerks the wheel out of Toby Butler's hand and drives him into the wall.
Then, of course, Kenny Schrader following behind had nowhere to go and hit him. Here is your field summary with Skinner leading every lap. Hornaday moving in front of Ruttman on the last restart, and then this is the way they stack up behind. And let's see who's making some good moves there. Jeff Bodine looking pretty good, getting up to 11.
And Johnny Benson started 22nd. Those numbers on the outside reflect where the driver started. Todd Bodine in the 61 started 26th. He's now 13th.
Good point. Sadler's up from 35th to 16th. We've been watching Kenny Wallace. Started 36th. He's 19th and crashed. He's got into the back of Darrell Waltrip and started one of our yellow flag situations. And then here are some guys who have gone the other direction. They've had mechanical problems. Swindell actually crashed that truck. He hit somebody else apparently and damaged the right front.
Now, that's not the driver. What's he doing here? That must be one of the mechanics that went over to check on the condition of the truck, and he decided he'd hitch a ride back.
He may be under there trying to fix it. You know, mechanics are just like drivers. Now we can get it running, no problem.
He needs to be working on the front, not inside. He's got one of those Flintstone tires on there.
There you go. Here's the other side.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he looks like he's up under the dash, working on the stereo maybe. One more look at how it happened. This one will really show you Butler's impact with the wall. Frustrating feeling right there.
Oh,
clips are pretty good.
And there we see him come off the corner, and Schrader Schrader took his truck to the hauler as well. So I think his AC Delco truck is out for the day.
Nobody else involved. Everybody else behind was able to dip down to the inside and avoid it. So for Toby Butler, the day is over. Young man comes out of the Pacific Northwest, 34 years old. Won a lot of NASCAR Winston Series races up in that vicinity, the NASCAR Northwest and Southwest Tours. In fact, he's won 21 times before moving to North Carolina to get into the heart of stock car country and try to advance his career. And didn't advance far today. He's out of the race. We'll be right back. Back at Martinsville just after the restart on lap 45, where Skinner has resumed his lead. Mike Bliss has picked up a spot in truck number 2. He's moved in front of the 37 of Bob Strait. As you watch Lagasse in the 24 doing battle here with Johnny Benson, who's definitely on the move if he doesn't spin her out right there. Now he's gathered up the 18 and keeps on trucking.
Benson passed Portingate, the 83 truck, the Coffee Critic truck on the outside, and Todd Bodine tried to do that as well, but right now Todd Bodine in the 61 has his hands full with Dennis Setzer in the 89, the Taco Bell truck.
Of course, that last yellow brought out by the fact that Kenny Schrader would look out.
And Dockin is spinning up in the corner. Are we going to see a caution? No, not yet. His truck is moving, and there's no caution. We will save a caution.
He'll whip her around and keep on trucking, get it out of harm's way. Second time he's spun in that same section of the racetrack. Kenny Schrader out of the race after colliding with Toby Butler, and a frustration for both of them. Let's go to Marty with Kenny.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. We talked about how bad your season has been. I thought today might be one of those days where you get some of it back, but no way.
Thing was running good. We got up. I don't know where we were. We were 13th in that one restart and passed 4 or 5 cars or trucks, but a couple of them got together and Toby bounced off the wall, and we just caught him with the right front. Could have been a lot worse. We got off easy. We don't have a whole lot to fix.
Can you get it fixed by North Wilkesboro?
Oh, yeah, we get it fixed. There's another one in the shop, but we'll fix this one.
What a season of frustration it has been for Kenny Schrader. What a race we have for second spot here as Ruttman in the 84 tries to figure out a way to get back around Hornaday, and Corelli, number 6, is working on Ruttman. There is the view that Ruttman has of the proceedings here as they head up the front straightaway.
He's got that phone card, 800 collect. He ought to call Hornaday up and say, look, move over.
I call him on the truck phone.
Truck phone.
Hornaday isn't going to move over, I guarantee you that. He's still frustrated over what happened to him in Richmond when he tangled with Jeff Bodine late in the race, knocked him well back in the championship standings, about 41 or so behind the leader now. 61, Todd Bodine, one of 3 Bodines racing here today. Looks like the side of that truck's a little flat, Benny.
Never seen. He's on the outside of Portingate. They tell me he brushed the wall as he came off the second corner. We'll see. He gets a little too high, and
Plunk.
Yes, he did meet the wall just ever so slightly.
We mentioned earlier there will be a teammate truck for this one next year. Jack Roush will be fielding a full-on championship effort. The driver has not been named. Todd will continue to drive this truck. We understand Mark Martin may occasionally drive this truck, which will be the R&D vehicle for the championship-seeking truck, and I would suspect that there's a Ford finger in that pie. They don't like getting clobbered by the Chevys the way they have this year, and they're sending Roush out to do some business.
I would think so. There we see Hermie Sadler in the 00, the DeWalt truck, and there's Bob Strait around, and no caution still, and Strait is losing positions. Even as we speak, he's losing positions. Man, oh man, and Bob Strait was running in where? About 10th or 11th?
Yeah, he'd been battling for a top 10 spot all the way there. And, of course, just lost that position to, I guess, Mike Bliss. And he may lose another one here as another of the damaged trucks in the field. Bill Sedgwick's going to try him on the outside. Straight running through his own smoke over there off 2. They have not been liberal with the cautions here today. Let's see how this one happened.
There we see Hermie Sadler running in the back of the 89 as the trucks try to stop, and they split him, leave Straight sitting there, and they... One more... I guess Scott Lagacy was the truck right behind Bob Straight. But he gets it going in the right direction, and no caution flag, but he did lose several positions.
No caution flag and no contact, so other than flat spots, truck may still be pretty good. Let's see how he fares after losing all those positions. He's dropped back now to, where can we find it, 20th, I believe, in the running order. So he lost about a dozen spots in that altercation. Creighton had a pretty good run going up until then. Yeah. Out front, Skinner continues to lead. The battle behind him has been impressive for most of the way. And here's Bodine trying to pick up more positions. He started 17th and has been on the move.
And he's now currently in 8th spot, so he has the Exide battery struck off and moving.
He certainly demonstrated in Richmond that he can drive a truck as effectively as a car. He battled Labonte down to the wire in an impressive show. Bodine's got a lot of experience and 4 Winston Cup victories on this racetrack. Should have a Benson view of this incident involving Straight.
That's the performance brake, friction brake pads and the halo lighting onboard camera. We still got that great battle going for second place. There we see second, third, and fourth and fifth. Hornaday, Rutman, Pirelli, and Jack Sprague running in fifth currently.
A lap ago, the nose of this truck was right up under the tailgate of the truck in front. Rutman was really pushing on Hornaday, trying to force a mistake and get back around him because Skinner has checked out on these guys. He's opened up a half straightaway lead. There's Skinner in the middle of the mob scene up front, trying to overlap Barry Bodine and number 22, Todd Massey. His truck was smoking earlier, but apparently is fixed now. So Skinner's dealing with traffic as Bodine gets into Massey. Last thing Skinner needs is for those 2 lads to tangle in front of him. He wants to get by them and get on with this.
So he finally gets under Barry Bodine's truck and moves up behind Todd Massey.
Barry's doing a respectable job here today for a kid who's never raced anything bigger than a go-kart. Pretty much has kept himself out of trouble. The one spin he was involved in was not his fault.
And there we see Kenny Wallace in the Red Dog truck and Johnny Benson. We see Kenny Wallace started 36th and was, not only did he start 36th, he was involved in a crash with Darrell Walterman and had to go back to 35th before, and he's now up to 12 spots. So
he's driving the wheels off that truck, which was built by Earl Bardman. He's actually the transporter driver for Rusty Wallace, and Earl built it to drive himself. But the Red Dog people came and said, hey, let's put together a deal. Put Kenny in that truck, get him on TV at Martinsville, and that's as good a view as you'll ever get right there as he goes by the onboard camera riding with Johnny Benson. So I'll tell you, Wallace is definitely the class of this field.
How'd you like to look out your window, the left side, and look at that dog, that big old red dog right in your face?
I think I'd rather be looking at that big old ugly red dog than I would that left rough fender, because I'd be thinking about how he got that fender looking that way. What's he going to do to me? So they work into traffic now. Here's your second place battle trying to thread through the needles. Hornaday working to the bottom.
That was Frank Davis in the 0 car that the leaders were able to get by, and they're going by Barry Bodine and Todd Massey, the next victim for Hornaday and Rutman. Hornaday got a break. He caught him going in the corner. He was able to get in the groove. He's caught Rutman on the outside. That'll gain 4 or 5 car lengths for Hornaday.
And there you see that gap right there as they dive down into turn 3. Meanwhile, Rutman has pulled away. The guy who's really gotten a beating in this traffic situation is Sprague.
But he was able to get by Pirelli in the traffic, so Jack Sprague will put him now up in 4th spot.
He got a position out of it, but he lost a lot of racetrack space. So I guess that's a trade-off. I'd rather have the position. That's first money. Rutman a little loose out of 2, trying to track Hornaday back down.
There we see Jack Sprague, the Budweiser truck, has been able to get by Pirelli in the total petroleum vehicle. And there we see Jeff Bodine is closed in. Bodine has a great run going today. Oh, that's Bodine. Oh, my goodness.
Sprague got involved, Pirelli's involved, Bodine is involved, but I'm not sure where that started. I'm okay. Definitely ahead of them.
Pirelli said, I'm okay. I think that was Pirelli's voice said, I'm okay, because he pounded that ball hard.
That one's going to have to come behind the wall.
Pirelli talking to the chest round team. Boy, he hit it, got airborne a little bit, reminiscent of what happened yesterday to Musgrave. Let's take another look at it.
There we see Barry Bodine is going to spin. He's going up and hit the wall. Now Pirelli's trying to go by, and bam, look at this.
Man.
Oh, man, it almost goes over. And also Sprague is involved, and his dad missed it. Jeff Bodine, I believe, is going to be able to stop in time. Let's one more look.
The trouble is in front of him.
Yes.
Pirelli sees it. Whack. That's a hard hit. If we take another look at this in real time, you'll get a better sense of the impact that Pirelli took. He radioed back to the crew, I'm okay. The truck is not. The truck is hurt, and rather badly. He's lucky the thing is going over.
I'm telling you, it looked like he was going to.
Meanwhile, Barry Bodine's truck has apparently damaged the radiator in the course of all that. It started with Barry, and he's steaming down on pit road. Let's go to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, we've caught up with Rick Corelli. It's nice to see you walk. I mean, that was a hard hit, and you had such a great run going.
I'd say, well, we were good, buying our time there a little bit, and coming off the corner looked like the old 7 truck, got a little sideways. I thought he was going to stay up to the wall, and I was racing there with Jack, and I caught the left front, and something launched it. I seen the inside. I thought she was going over, but you know, it's pretty safe. Banged my head a little bit, but I'm all right.
Well, hopefully everything will be back together for next week.
Yeah, we're ready for North Wilkesboro. I mean, you know, this sort of the truck I really don't like, and looked like I killed it here, but you know, we were looking for a good run, and you know, it's one of those misfortunes.
Well, you had it going. Rick Corelli, we'll see him next week at North Wilkesboro.
If you got to wreck a truck, wreck the one you don't like. We are just a lap short of the halfway break, so what they're going to do, I believe, is take that break, clean up the mess. We'll be back to tell you about it right after this. We're back in Martinsville. The trucks have stopped. It's the halfway break, and that's when Marty Reed goes to work.
Oh, you guys are always so good to me. I got Mike Skinner. Surprise, surprise. Hey, I got to ask you, it doesn't look like the guys are making any kind of change whatsoever. I mean, the tires have already been changed. This has really been a good run for you.
I'll tell you, this GM Goodwrench Service SuperTruck's hooked up right now. I know that Ron and Joe and those guys are going to work on their trucks, and they're going to get a little bit better, but we wasn't running very hard. I don't know how hard they were running, but I think we're going to leave her alone. We're going to read the tire pressure and check out the wear of everything and just look this thing over, but right now it's pretty good. They're going to have to get better to catch us. If they do, they do. I think we're going to take our chances where we're at.
Tell you what, while we move back, remember what this was like at Richmond? They didn't want to talk because they had problems. When he says we're going to leave it alone, that's trouble for these guys. Let's move on back to Joe Ruttman. He has got crew chiefs and everybody all around. Let me see if I can poke my head in here. Joe, you got anything left for him? What changes can you make?
Right now we don't have anything for him, but we're going to make some changes. So either we're going to be better than we were, or we're going to be worse. It's obvious that you know, we were getting beat the way it was, so we're having a little problem getting off, and that's what we're going to work on, is trying to get it off a little better.
Well, you're one of the fortunate ones to miss that last accident because you guys were ahead of it. Let's move on back a little bit further. We'll catch up with Eli Gold doing the radio. Can you believe this? Eli Gold working the pits. I mean, he's got to stick his head in there. Hey, I'll tell you what, I should interview Eli. Well, I'll tell you what, let's let them go. We'll move down one more because Butch Miller's still running in the top 5, and then we'll come back. Okay, so, Butch, I'll tell you what, it's carnage out there.
It's dangerous, but, you know, it's a good race. Actually, the guys have been driving really clean, and, you know, we have to because we got a race in 5 days again with the same trucks.
a lot of the guys have been talking about that. Darrell Waltrip thinks he can get his fixed. Is that forcing you to change the way you're driving this race?
Well, no, I just can't keep up. You know, I wish I had another excuse. I'd be in there duking it out with them if I could.
All right, we got one more stop before we go back up to Ron Hornaday. Let's go back to Jack Sprague. Remember, he was running really well, got caught in that accident, and see if we can get this guy in here. Jack, you had a great run going. Are you going to be able to get this thing fixed?
Well, I don't know. You know, the Budweiser Chevrolet was running really good. Other than Bodine spinning, I don't know what took place after that. I thought I had him missed. I don't know if he got me or Rick got into me. It doesn't really matter. It's a racing incident, but the truck was really flying, and my hat's off to the crew. We had a good truck. You know, maybe we wouldn't have won it, but we were definitely a top 3 or 4 truck, just kind of saving our stuff there. But the way it goes, we'll be back next week.
All right, well, you can tell by the tone of voice that he has got all that new tailgate damage, and he is not very happy. I'm going to take a little quick jog on back up here because it looks like Eli's finally gotten out of the way, and see if we can poke our head in here with Ron Hornaday. I'll tell you what, I got to find out. I asked Joe if he had anything left for Mike Skinner. Do you?
That's hard to say. I just got tied up in a little bit of traffic and burned my brakes up. We bled the brakes. We'll get up there and get this thing rolling through the middle. We should be all right.
Other than that, no other chassis changes?
No, we just maybe a couple pounds here and there in air pressure on the tires. But, you know, Doug Richards, the guy, did a great job in his Papa John Chevrolet. So we'll see what we can do for him. If I quit trying to run it so hard, you know, and we'll be all right.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for the guys that are running up this end of the pits. As far as Kenny Wallace, we'll try and get you an update on him. He's pitting, of course, on the backside. The one thing that scares me, and Benny, you can probably emphasize this, when Mike Skinner says, we're okay, that's trouble for everybody else.
Yeah, and he definitely is okay, Dave, because he has had no competition. He's just been out in front so easily. We see him working on the 25, the Jack Sprague vehicle, trying to repair some of the damage.
This from certainly the wildest incident of the day. Watch the impact here as Rick Corelli in the 6 comes down. There is Bodine. That's Barry Bodine. And Corelli smacks him. Sprague bounces off and goes up and catches the wall. And I believe we're also able to offer you the flagman's view. That's what he saw. And heard. Wow. Yeah.
And he immediately, Carl Simmons immediately starts waving that yellow flag.
Didn't waste any time there, did he? We'll take a quick break and come back to refire the engines and resume the Goody's 150. We're back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, where some of the trucks have begun to fire up and move back out. If you're enjoying the show, call your friends and tell them to tune in tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time over on the other network, ESPN Classic. We'll have the 1 hour slightly edited rear version of the Goody's 150, so we hope that a lot of folks will be tuned in for that. Marty's gone to the back pits. Marty.
I'll tell you what, the most impressive run of the day, you're looking at them picking off the number 90 of Kenny Wallace up from that early action. Started dead last in this field. You got everybody's attention. You're running 8th. You got a great run going.
Well, Marty, you know, I was doing my traditional go to the outside deal, and, you know, I got up on the outside of somebody, and I got myself in trouble. I knew better, but I was trying to get to the front. So, Red Dog, I want to thank him. We're having a lot of fun. Just make it till the end.
All right, you made from 36 to 8th in 75 laps. Can you go the last 8?
Well, I'm getting a lot tougher trucks now. These guys have done their homework. I told Earl I want to get him a top 5, and I want to get Red Dog a top 5. So we'll see what we can do. But I ran out of brakes there at the end, so I was glad to see the halfway break.
Well, we'll keep our eye on you because you certainly got our attention. Kenny Wallace.
One of the great truths about motorsports, those great runs from the back, the further you go, the harder it gets. Because those guys up front are up front for a reason. We'll take a break and come back. We're about ready for the restart of the Goody's 150. NASCAR, Craftsman, SuperTrucks on ESPN2. Live on ESPN2. Most of the trucks have been serviced at the now traditional midway break in the NASCAR Craftsman SuperTruck Series. They have lined them up on the backstretch in the order they will run at the restart. And momentarily, we'll be set to get back underway. Ernie Irvan, expected to be the star of this weekend's show, making his return to racing. But rain washed out his effort, and he'll have to wait till next weekend at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. We'll be right back. Asked to see this shot when we come back for the restart, the second half of the NASCAR Craftsman SuperTruck race. here at Martinsville, Virginia.
And he's dropped mine on the floor.
Skinner has led it from the get-go. All 76 laps. No lead changes. There have been, however, 6 cautions for 27 laps, keeping the average speed down. Let's take a look at the most spectacular of the events that brought out the caution flag here. This just before the halfway break.
Jack Sprague in the 25, Corelli in the 6, and Jeff Bodine in the 7. Barry Bodine, Jeff's son, spins. He comes off the wall, catches Corelli, who hits Sprague in the right rear, and Corelli in the wall hard with the left side, and Sprague goes up, hits the outside wall. Here in real time, watch.
Hurts to watch.
It does, doesn't it?
Let's go to Marty Reed.
Real trouble for everybody else in the field. Mike Skinner and the team made no changes whatsoever. Joe Ruttman doesn't know if he has anything left. He certainly didn't have it in the first half. Same with Butch Miller. He says, hey, I'm just trying to keep up. Ron Hornaday Jr. a little more confident, and, of course, disappointed Jack Sprague. And we had a chance to talk with Kenny Wallace. Remember, he says it's easy to make it from 36th up to 8th. It's those last 8 spots that I got to worry about now.
If you're new to truck racing, this is the tradition. They take a 5-minute break between segments to service the trucks, line them back up in the order that they're running, throw the green flag, and sprint 75 laps here to the checker. That will wrap up the Goody's 150, and here we come down for the restart.
Uh-oh, the leader's hung on the outside, and here goes Hornaday trying to look on the inside.
The red 16, Ron Hornaday saw a momentary opportunity, but couldn't capitalize.
Now they've got Rodney Combs up in front. Rodney's trying to get a snapper truck.
That had been a 7-cylinder truck earlier. They had an opportunity to fix it.
And Jeff Bodine drives it on the outside. Tries it on the outside of Ruttman.
Ruttman got a little ragged in front of him, and there's Kenny Wallace slipping coming off the corner as he does battle with Johnny Benson Jr. That 90 truck has been the fast truck so far, coming from last to race Mike Bliss.
And Jeff Bodine once again is on the outside. Right now the lead truck's hung up behind the 43 of Rodney. Jeff trying to take advantage of it on the outside. Right now he's even with Ruttman. That's Ruttman in the 84.
Yeah. Bodine racing in doorpost to doorpost. Ruttman not giving up anything on the bottom. Bodine at one moment had gotten up actually alongside Hornaday. But that is a high-risk lane that Bodine's running in. That's where Toby Butler got in big trouble before the break.
And Tony Roper was going to pitch in the back as we watch this battle for, once again, Skinner trying to get by. And he almost was on the outside of Rodney Combs, but not quite.
I'll tell you, Combs has got 1 million miles worth of experience. Look out, Rodney, don't spin her out. That's got to make the leader a little nervous to have the guy nearly a lap down in front of you and sideways. But Combs knows how to race. He just had a bad truck that got him back there in that situation.
And Skinner once again diving to the inside. Rodney's going to give him room, is he? No, not yet.
Not very much.
Oh, he's going to now, though. And here goes Hornaday. Here goes Hornaday. Skinner trying to block his spot, but what's happening?
Skinner on the bottom. Look out. Check the Hornaday on the bottom. Skinner moves him up. Ruttman saw an opportunity. Bodine got into the back of Ruttman, and when it's all said and done, Skinner held on, but man, by the skin of his teeth, I'll tell you.
Rodney Combs had a plug wire off early on, and now they've got that fixed. That's why he's running so well. And here comes Bodine. He has position on Ruttman's vehicle.
In that big shuffle, Bodine was able to get to the bottom and move Ruttman aside to take over third spot. Skinner did the proverbial nice piece of driving there to hold off Hornaday, because Hornaday was alongside him going into 3. But
and there goes Bodine on the inside of Hornaday.
Let's see. Bodine and Hornaday. Don't I recall a Bodine and Hornaday moment? It's like Richmond, where they tangled late and Hornaday spun. Bodine's on the bottom, and Hornaday can't do anything with that.
And Joe Owens.
Hornaday got the back of Bodine, it appeared, spun him around. Jeff maybe didn't hit anything, gets it back underway. We got a yellow. No. Well, that was one that I'm sure we'll be talking about, looking at the replay for a while. Meanwhile, the battle for second has Hornaday and Ruttman, and up to fourth goes Butch Miller, with Mike Bliss behind him in the number 2 truck running in 5th spot. Wallace is up to 6th, and here comes Benson challenging him.
Take that spot away.
I'll tell you, Benson hadn't been bad. What, he started 22nd, didn't he?
And right now, the black flag is out for Hornaday. I believe the flagman has the black flag in his hand. We'll have to check.
That was the report, and if that's the case, that will be controversial.
Let's see. Here he comes.
Marty's
and
got
yes.
something on it. Marty, tell us what's up.
Well, you're right, guys. The black flag is out for Ron Hornaday. It's for that contact with Jeff Bodine, and his pit crew is talking to NASCAR officials. They're appealing it, trying to keep him out there as long as they can, but I don't think they're going to win this one.
At Richmond, Hornaday and Skinner tangled. Here comes Hornaday down pit road. He is acknowledging the black flag, and, well, I'd say the audience verdict is about split. Half cheering, half booing. Stop and go.
Here's a replay. What happened? That's Jeff Bodine in the 7. And the 84 is trying to get alongside Hornaday. And there is contact between Hornaday and Jeff Bodine. The NASCAR officials were quick to give Hornaday the black flag for that contact.
So, the Hornaday and Bodine love affair will continue.
And
Sprague's about to lose the tailgate.
I mean, the tailgate is, the tail panel is gone, and the rear spoiler hooks to that. So there is no downforce at all on that Budweiser truck. We see Hermie Sadler trying to get by Jack Sprague.
They are still racing. No yellow for the incident. They are going to throw the black flag for Sprague, and rightly so, because that piece just gray taped or duct taped on there is going to fall off in front of somebody. So they'll come in, and he will come in, and that will affect repairs. Meanwhile, Ruttman is running down the leader. Joe Ruttman is catching the leader, Mike Skinner. He's been the leader from the get-go. John Nemechek has just about spun out, coming out of turn 4, but gathers it back up and continues. As you take a look at the rundown, we've had only one leader, but boy, we have had boo-hoo excitement behind him. A lot of it created by Kenny Wallace, who's up to 6th from dead last. Starting positions on the right, current running position on the left.
Dennis Setzer, the red truck you saw in pit lane, very slow going. This looks like his day is done.
McEachern's picked up 9 spots. Dawkins has spun twice, but held on to what he had. Barry Bodine triggering the biggest incident of the day.
There we see the 25 truck Sprague has made it to the pits to acknowledge the black flag. Now they're trying to get that tail panel taped back on so it will stay.
There's your gap, 1st to 2nd. This is Ruttman, who looked like he was catching Skinner at one point. Now has lost a fair bit of ground.
I think Skinner got a phone call on that 1-800 collect and said that he's gaining.
We'll be right back. We're back at Martinsville. Skinner, the leader in the 3, pursued by the 84 of Ruttman. Chevy versus Ford for the championship and the race. Let's take another look at the replay here. It cost Hornaday a penalty, and one about which there will be some controversy.
Yes, the Papa John's truck, Ron Hornaday, goes in the corner on the outside of Jeff Bodine. Remember, he and Bodine made some contact up in Richmond. He's trying to stay in front of the Joe Ruttman truck. He accelerates and hits Bodine in the back. NASCAR official said he should have been paid a little more attention, and the black flag. And Lagsy has spun. And Lagsy has been very slow the last couple of laps, has been losing positions rapidly, and now he's spun down the grass, so he may have a flat tire or something.
No yellow for Lagasse, despite the spin. And Hornaday, as a result of that contact with Bodine, was brought to pit road for a stop-and-go penalty.
And look at Bodine. He has worked his way back up to about 5th or 6th right now.
Working on Mike Bliss, passing Mike Bliss, moving on. You're riding with Johnny Benson, who's also on the move.
That puts Bodine in 4th spot.
The spinner again, gets the momentum up.
And there we see the onboard camera on Johnny Benson.
All right, we'll see what happened to Lagasse here.
That's Hermie Sadler in the black truck on the outside. Lagasse goes in, and around he goes.
Lagasse had said that they didn't practice very well. They changed everything on the truck this morning, and they expected to be very good or very bad.
And Kenny Wallace, the red dog truck, once again trying to get to the inside. Couldn't quite make it.
Has certainly put on a show here today. Kenny Wallace from 36 to midfield. Involved in an incident, fell to the back, started again, and has moved all the way into the top 5. Very impressive indeed. Pursued by Sprague, who is now lapped down, having had to stop and have the tailgate. Well, they didn't take it off. They put more tape on it, taped it back on. It's got the sponsor's name on it. A report of perhaps some smoke on the 98. That's a pretty good tape job. We'll tape a little bungee cord and fix anything, right?
Sure can. That's tough news for Butch Miller, who's currently running in 3rd place. Never seen Butch Miller in the Revestas truck. There he goes off the corner. Yes, we see some smoke.
For sure. Butch has had tough sledding here the last couple of outings. He was in contention, actually led the championship at one point at midseason. He
cautions out.
Apparently oil, perhaps from Butch's truck. Smoke often indicates oil. We'll take a break and come back with more. 46 to go here at Martinsville in the Goody's 150 NASCAR Craftsman SuperTrucks. Back at Martinsville, under yellow again, and let's take a look at how this field fare as we have 45 laps remaining here.
The 3rd place truck is on pit road. Butch Miller is on pit road. We see that Jeff Bodine has moved up to 3rd. There he is. I guess the smoke that we saw was from the gear. Here's Marty Reed.
Yeah, Benny, you're right. They have cooked the rear end. I mean, I wish we had smell-o-vision, because then you'd know how bad it really is. And the hardest part right now is that is really hot up in there, and these guys are having a hard time breaking the seal to get the old fluid out so they can try and get something to cool it off, get it redone, and get it out there again, see how bad the damage is.
Brakes and rear ends are the two most vulnerable components here at Martinsville. Obviously, if you're driving the Revestas truck, you cannot burn up the brakes, so you're left to tear up the rear end, and that's what happened to Butch.
Brakes are great, but the gear, that's another thing.
On the other hand, we heard a lot of talk about brakes during the break at halfway. A lot of guys were using the brakes a little too much, and you don't want to do that at Martinsville. We did have another look at the number 65 truck.
Oh, no, Kenny Allen from down in Chubby, North Carolina. Today was his wife's birthday, Sheila's birthday. A birthday present for Sheila? Not.
Buy Sheila some new body work and have her give it to Kenny because he needs it. We take another break at Martinsville. We'll be right back. We're back at Martinsville, anticipating yet another restart. It has been a yellow flag kind of a race here. Let's go to Marty.
Well, Butch Miller is climbing out of the truck, and Butch, the rear end fluid finally all over everything, and it looks like you're done for the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, it been tightening it up since halftime, and we couldn't get any straightaway speed anymore. And finally, when we came in to fill it up again, it seized up. So we're done. We can't change it in 20 laps, so and that's about all that's left.
So Butch Miller's out of this one in less than a week to get ready for North Wilkesboro.
The only good news for Miller is that Corelli, the guy with whom he is battling for position in the points, is also out with a crashed truck, and Sprague, the next man in line, is several laps down because of damage that he's sustained. But still, a tough day for Miller. 4th ranked in the points. We'll be right back. Back at Martinsville, this is the battle for 2nd spot. We've just gone green, and Bodine immediately makes a move up the inside, trying to get around Ruttman for 2nd place. They're beating and banging. This is short track at its best.
And we've got a spin coming on turn 4. Todd Massey has spun, and the yellow flag is out, and I hope they don't race back to the line because they can't see anything when they get here.
Off they come into the smoke. Everybody backs them down.
I knew there was another car there. It was Frank Davis' truck. I mean, he made some contact with Massey as he was sitting there.
Bodine sure had a good run going at Ruttman, and we'll try to duplicate it on the restart. Here's how the crash happened.
Ever see Massey coming off, just gets on the gas a little too hard, spins, Clark goes by, but Davis comes along, and in the middle of that smoke, runs into him.
Almost got it stopped.
He probably had no idea anyone was there until he hit something.
Here's a look from Speedy, the speed shot, speed camera there. You get an idea of the smoke. Somewhere back in there is Davis. And he arrives to find Massey still there. a fan cam angle. Just the exit throttle was the whole problem. A little too much throttle.
My question is, do we have any replays on who was in front the lap preceding, the 7 or the 84? Do we have a shot of that going down the start-finish line? Because that's going to figure out who starts in second spot between Bodine and Joe Rutman.
I get the idea that Bodine may not agree. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back and see who starts where on the restart at Martinsville. Back in Martinsville, Virginia, Martinsville Speedway, which hosted a NASCAR race back in 1946. I believe Bodine is still of the opinion that he should start second on the restart.
And Rutman's of the opinion he should start. And I would see Kenny Allen up there and said, well, I know where I'm going to start, right beside the leader. And that leader is Mike Skinner in the 3. The Goodrich Chevrolet pickup truck.
The reason you have officials is to decide disagreements like that, and ultimately they will prevail, and I think they're going to put Rutman in second spot. Skinner has led every lap here today. That is not unprecedented. He did that once before in the series, but it certainly doesn't speak to the level of excitement and drama that we've seen here today, and which is about to resume as the pace truck comes across start and finish, and I think probably the lights, no, looks like maybe they'll go one more. We'll take a look at that battle up front and speculate a little about whether Bodine's truck might be the best one out there at this point.
I'm not sure that Jeff Bodine is not as good as Mike Skinner. Jeff Bodine, the tough break he caught was having to start so far back, and we saw when he got alongside Rutman just how well he was able to, get alongside Rutman and run side by side with him. So, and Skinner was not able to pull away that much from Bodine and Rutman. So I would think that Jeff Bodine might be able to give Skinner a run for his money.
Difficulty now is laps. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Jeff Bodine is just absolutely a master at this racetrack.
It has only 31 laps to work with, so the difficulty is going to be getting around Rutman and saving himself enough time to go after Skinner. We'll take a break and come back with the restart and the run to the finish as we anticipate North Wilkesboro next weekend. Hands on their feet, flag in the air. We're just back to green at Martinsville. Rutman immediately goes after Skinner. Bodine didn't get much of a restart.
And Bodine, the NASCAR officials did put Rutman in second spot and Jeff Bodine back in the third spot. They checked the replay tapes that we had and said, in fact, Joe Rutman was in front when the caution flag displayed the lap preceding in the trucks. They don't race back to the line as they do in this race.
And a good decision that is, too. That's one of my favorite rules is don't race back to the line.
And we can see that Jeff Bodine, let's see just how many laps it takes him to catch Rutman and how long it takes him to get by the Joe Rutman vehicle will probably determine whether he's going to win the race or not. There's Mike Bliss, Johnny Benson.
That's a good battle. It's a separate battle. The lead 3 have gotten away. And here comes Kenny Wallace up the inside of Benson, making a move for what would be 5th spot if he can get around him. They have been racing each other for the entire second half of this event, and they both came through a lot of traffic to get here.
And we see Hermie Sadler right behind them, also in his truck, the black truck.
Holmes is next in that group with a healthy truck again after having problems running on 7 cylinders most of the first half of the race.
But Rodney is still a lap down.
Benson is right on Bliss's rear deck, and as you can see out the back, Wallace is there and ready to challenge with Sadler as well. Bodine, meanwhile, has reeled in the top 2 and is ready to make his move on Rutman, perhaps within the next couple of laps. Benson looking to the inside on Bliss. Not there.
He's just trying to get out of that mirror, just trying to put some pressure, and Bliss gets it sideways. Almost gave the run that Benson needed. And here comes the 90 truck, the Red Dog truck of Kenny Wallace on the outside.
Benson may have had to check up just a moment, thinking that perhaps Bliss was going to spin. Look out. Underneath goes Benson. He got Bliss out of the way. Wallace will try to follow him through the hole, and does. Bliss, a big loser in that one, stuck on the outside. There goes Sadler by as well. He lost 3 spots. Kick himself for that, huh?
I'm telling you, you get out the groove at Martinsville, and boy, they just keep going by. Now, here we go. Bodine.
Bodine is underneath him as they go to turn 3. He's got the shot, and Rutman takes over second spot. Jeff Bodine does what we anticipated he might manage immediately after the restart. Instead, he fell back quite a ways, 10-12 truck lengths. Took him a while to run him back down. Now Bodine is second of the question. Benny Parsons, can he catch and can he pass Mike Skinner?
Well, I think that Richard Childress and Will Lind and Rich Burgess, the crew, just told Mike Skinner, Jeff Bodine is coming. If he's got anything, now's the time to use it.
We've got trouble up in turn 3 and 4. Looks like Kenny Allen has gone around, and Michael Vachen again. Look out, Michael. The leaders are coming. Yellow is out. Ooh. Man. Both guys trying to spin the truck around and get it going the right direction, and they were doing all that right in front of the leaders, which has brought out the yellow. Dockett apparently got into Allen to trigger that. Wow. But it's still going on. Allen hasn't stopped yet. We'll be right back. Just about ready for the restart. It will be one more lap to go. I believe the next time they come by the start-finish line is Mike Skinner. Now has Jeff Bodine right on his rear bumper.
We can solve the problem. Can Jeff Bodine catch and pass Mike Skinner? Well, he's caught him. Now, we know that. Now, the next question, can he pass him? And now we will know the answer because he, in fact, has caught him.
Here come the lap trucks moving up quickly along the inside. Benson is going to take a serious run at Rutman, I think, on this restart. He's got a good truck in Wallace, too. And look how far back they came. Actually, all three of them. Bodine from 17, Benson from 22nd, Wallace from 36th, and Sadler from 35th. This has been a run-through-the-field kind of day at Martinsville. We've seen some terrific runs through traffic. This is not an easy place to pass a lot of trucks.
Not an easy place at all. And there we see Johnny Benson, the onboard camera, as he looks at the truck of Joe Rutman. That's the 4th place truck we're riding on. We're looking right at the 3rd place truck.
Back for what could very well be the run to the checkered flag. 17 laps to go as Skinner brings him down. The green is in the air. And let's see what Jeff Bodine has for Mike Skinner as they start lap 135. 2 feet between the two of them.
And Bodine already looking on the inside. Already. There's some contact between Bodine and Skinner. Skinner goes high. Bodine will take the lead, and Rutman will try it.
Rutman had a shot at him there, but Skinner got him back down into the groove ahead of Rutman. Bodine made the run on the inside. And now Hornaday has spun.
But no caution yet.
He just barely got it back out onto the racetrack.
Now the question, can Skinner catch Bodine?
All right. We've certainly turned that table here with 15 to go. Bodine started down the inside when Skinner tried to close it off. His left rear made contact with Bodine's right front. Skinner saved it, but opened up the hole. And Rutman tried to dart through it, but there wasn't time. See if we can figure out what happened to Hornaday here.
We can see that Hornaday is just way, way high. He got out of the groove and nailed the gas, comes down, and does not hit a thing. So
he was 3 wide there for a moment. You can't do that at Martinsville. He tried. He was on the outside. He paid the price. Bodine is driving away from Skinner here, maybe?
Maybe, might be. Let's see. 13 laps to go. 12 laps to go now.
You called him back when he was running 3rd, Benny, that you thought that might be the best truck out there. Rutman with an opportunity here. Skinner there. But he needs to run him down by 3 truck lengths, maybe 4 truck lengths as they work through turn 4. And Rutman has not demonstrated the ability all day to do that.
Right now he's losing ground to Skinner. And Skinner is not gaining a great deal on Bodine, although it looks like he's trying. He's using all the racetrack. As he came off the 2nd corner that time, he let the truck drift right up against that wall, using all the racetrack. And Rutman trying to find him a line, a different way around the racetrack.
Skinner's in a win-win deal here. Nobody likes to finish 2nd. He'd love to go up and catch Bodine if he can, but as long as he keeps Rutman, he extends his point lead, and that is the more important issue, certainly, for Skinner, who won the series opener, then had a disastrous 2nd race at Tucson, and played catch-up to halfway, has dominated the 2nd half of the series. Rick Bodine's day has led 5 laps now from 17th to 1st. Took the lead on 139. and is in position to win his very first SuperTruck race. 9 laps to go.
He just missed at Richmond the last SuperTruck race. He lost it by, I don't know, what, 6 inches or so?
Yeah, maybe. That was a terrific battle with Terry Labonte. So, Bodine, you know what?
No, I think Skinner's catching.
He's catching.
I do believe it. He's got 8 laps.
Yeah.
7.5 laps, and yes, he is catching him.
Yeah. And I didn't see Bodine make any mistakes to close that gap up. I think Skinner's just running him down. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Says a lot for Skinner, though, that he's making the attempt. I mean, he can sit there with the cruise control on, stay out of trouble, not wreck the truck, pad his point lead, but he's not doing that. He's trying to catch him. He wants to win the race.
He is trying his best to win the race. Now 6 laps to go.
Here's your race for position. This is for 4th. Benson and Wallace have been swapping spots all day. That's as even a matchup as you'll see. They've come through the traffic together, and they've been having a ball out there.
And you see Sadler back there just waiting and hoping. Here comes Kenny. Oh, little contact.
Yeah.
Sideways, and we straightened her out.
They got our board camera right there, didn't they?
The camera didn't move that time. The bed of the truck moved.
Yeah. Wallace gave him a good shot that time. Benson knew it was coming and steered his way through it. Laps winding down. Fans on their feet. 5 to go. Here comes Wallace again. Wants 4th from Benson. Inside, outside. Trying to fill that mirror. Now ducking out of the mirror. He's alongside Benson. Got wide going in. Couldn't get around.
Could not get around. I tell you, Benson is really, really loose. He's like he's on a dirt track getting through the corners.
He's keeping his foot down hard, though.
Oh, here we go.
Traffic for the leaders.
Heavy traffic. There we can see the Frank Davis car. There's Hornaday.
Hornaday is just spun to end up right in front of the leaders. 7 is Bodine in front. 3 is Skinner pursuing, trying to get around. Another thrilling SuperTruck finish with 3 to go here at Martinsville.
And Hornaday, he does move over. Let's Bodine and Skinner. Skinner trying to get on the inside. He's trying. Man.
He had him a little loose. And Bodine's got to be thinking, what's Hornaday going to do? Oh, there he comes alongside contact. Bodine spins.
And they both spin. And here comes
Skinner kept it. Ruttman's going to get by on the bottom. Is Ruttman going to win the race? He'll take the white flag. Skinner didn't come clear around. Managed to keep it straight enough to continue. Bodine has spun at turn 4, and it looks like Ruttman's going to win the race. Wow. Oh, the yellow is out. The yellow and white.
Now this race can't end on a yellow. Wait a minute. Checkered flag.
Yeah, they're throwing a checkered flag. They throw the checkered flag on Ruttman.
And then we see the 18 is finished. And the 90 truck, I guess.
Let's see, Benson would have been second or third. We'll sort that out when we come back. Truck races sure are fun. There's a happy Ernie Irvin. We'll be right back to Martinsville. We're back at Martinsville. Joe Ruttman has won a wild one here, and he's with Marty Reed.
Guys, I tell you what, this is a happy victory lane. The only lap you led was the last one.
Well, that's the time to do it, you know. And Mom, get ready for this collect call, 1-800-COLLECT. They're going to save 44%, right, Mom? So do accept that, please, for me. But I'd like to think these are the guys that work real hard and make it all happen. Jimmy's been with me right from the get-go, and our success is directly, is his responsibility. And then Jay's come along, and he made a good call at the halftime, and that's what kept us kind of competitive. And he made a world of difference in the truck. The driver probably wasn't up to what he should have been doing, but it was a great day after all, anyway.
You had a great view on that last lap spin that Skinner and Bodine got into. What was your strategy? Were you basically relinquishing and just saying, I'm going to stay in third and hoping that would happen?
You never do that, but there was no doubt that I had the pedal depressed, and whatever was going to get in my way, we were going to take it to the start-finish line. That's what we needed to do and to win, and the boys are yelling on the radio, go, 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 so I had to stand on it, and they've been behind me 100%, and this was what kept us in the points, is you having a good, steady truck, and we just need to dial in a little bit closer to get even tougher yet.
Well, obviously there was not enough distraction from Ernie's potential comeback for this week, obviously coming away with your second win of the year, but now it all starts up again for next week. You're going to have to race the boss.
Well, you know, I might be able to learn something. I think I picked up something from Jeff, and you hate to say that you've raced as long as you have, but now I got some in my hip pocket. When I come back with, I'll be just maybe a half a tenth quicker than I was before. So thank you, Jeff, for helping me out.
Well, the points are closer. Joe Ruttman, your Goody's 150 winner.
Indeed, this is Ruttman's 15th top 10 finish in 16 races. 94% of the races he's been top 10. He mentioned consistency. That has indeed been the key. Well, let's take another look at the wild last lap here and how this thing came down to an end. Hornaday, a lap truck, then the leader, Bodine and Skinner.
And Skinner goes in, they make some contact. He gets on the inside of Bodine, and they once again makes contact, and both of them speed. Actually, Skinner never went all the way around. Bodine did. Skinner was able to get his truck going again, but here comes the 84 truck by the line. And I said that the trucks do not race back to the caution flag. They don't. But Ruttman took the white flag. He took the white flag before the caution flag came out. Under those conditions, they do race back to the checkered flag. So it was the up and up run.
So on the last lap, even though the yellow flag did fly, it was Ruttman racing back to the checkered flag, the one that matters for his second Super Truck victory. Skinner comes home second. We'll be right back. Every time we show up for one of these things, it ends up being an exciting finish, and it certainly happened again this time. This is what Joe Ruttman needed to see on the last lap. He comes through turn 3 and 4, and bingo. There are the leaders.
There are the leaders, and we see that the flagman was waving the white flag as Joe made his trip by victory by the start-finish line.
So this is the lap that Joe led right here. The one that matters, as he said. There's the guy who looked like he might have him covered today, caught some traffic with 2 to go, tangled with Skinner, and as a result ends up, where did he end up? He ended up 15th and a lap down. As we take a look at the rundown here, Ruttman winning it from Skinner, Benson, Wallace, and Sadler. And I guess for that matter, Todd Bodine, all coming from deep in the pack with great runs into the top 6. Bliss kind of faded there at the end, had been good up until then. Who else impresses us here? Well, Hornaday Jr. is the other big factor in that, having first been penalized and then spinning late in the race.
And we see Butch Miller, his points championship aspirations just completely out the window now after 2 did not finish as Richmond
and some of the early retirees. Schrader after a crash, Butler with Butler. Evans, Waltrip, and Swindell all out early. Let's go to Marty with Jeff Bodine.
Well, for a guy who came back and had the lead and then end up with that big spin, you got a smile on your face. I didn't expect you to be this happy.
Well, hey, that's racing. You can't get it back, number one, and it doesn't do any good to get mad. Man, life's too darn short to be mad all the time. I'm disappointed in the way those 2 guys drove today. They have good equipment, good sponsors, a good truck owner, excuse me. They're not showing it on the track. They've won races this year, but when you drive like they did today, come on, guys, you know that wasn't right. You know, I made some clean passes, some good passes. They made some dirty moves. You pass a guy underneath and rub, that's racing. When you hit him from behind, that's putting him out. But, you know, the Excite truck ran good. We're happy. Taney Tucker Salsa was out there today.
Got to go, Jeff. We're running out of time. Thanks.
Okay.
Tell it like it is, Bodine. Thank you, Marty Reed. Thank you, Benny Parsons. We'll see you next week from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Skinner now leads Ruttman by 41 points. I'm Dave Despang. So long, everyone.